Okay, so in terms of evaluating our short film recreation, Get Off My Land, I'm going to be evaluating casting, lighting, sound, and editing. And then starting with casting, I think the people that we cast fitted the roles extremely well, and we did quite a good job of who we employed in the short amount of time we had to scout people. The characters matched the profiles well that we had listed, and that as a group we had made sure of what we wanted to get out of our actors. The young couple that we did choose in the end have plenty of acting experience. They do A-level drama at the moment at our school, so we knew that they weren't just some of our friends that were coming along for a laugh. We knew that it would benefit them as well as us, and we knew they'd do a good job, which is really important in obviously coursework things. So applying that to my own coursework, I think if my scenes are scripted, which I think they may be, I'm not entirely sure yet, I'm going to want to ensure that my actors know exactly what they're required to do, and I want to be able to sort of write a list of the qualities that I want them to have, and then when auditioning and casting, I want to make sure that they fit that criteria. Otherwise it's just a disadvantage to my film. I need to know that the people that I'm employing aren't just going to be there sort of half-heartedly. I need people to really put their efforts in. So maybe that will involve going on scouting websites like Star Now or looking in drama classes, just things like that, just so I know that people that I am employing will be 100% committed to me. Then going on to editing, I think we did pretty good considering the amount of time we had. The standard was fairly high. We didn't really struggle with overlapping scenes. We made sure that the continuity was there, and it was all very well and smooth throughout. There wasn't any jutters or black spaces, no blackouts at all. It was literally just the continuity, I think, flowed really well, and just considering the amount of time that we had to do the whole thing, I think that obviously filming was we spent a lot more time on the filming rather than the editing, but the time that we spent filming meant that we didn't have to worry too much about the editing, because we made sure that we got the right shots and things would flow whilst in the process, so we didn't have to go back again and remake some scenes that we missed out or didn't fit in. So for my own coursework, again, for editing, I just ensure that all the scenes flow together smoothly, the continuity's there. Things like, again, it will go back into filming, but things like I don't want to be really having to go, and if I have to, I'll change the lighting and make it, to the levels that it needs to be. But hopefully, I won't have to do too much hardcore editing if I get my filming to the standard that I hope it will be. Obviously, things like credits and things like that, I will have to take into consideration, like we did in this film. And again, just avoid repeating and overlapping the scenes. Just make sure it all runs smoothly and there's no, jolts in the scenes. We've got quite a long time frame given, so I would like to think that I can achieve the best I can in my editing. And then going on to location, I think where we shot it fit really well. It mirrored the original copy from Douglas Ray very well. We're lucky we live in the countryside, so we could just pick a field out and, sort of mirror that whole image. We made sure that the conditions we were in, obviously we were in spring and autumn time, so we were lucky again, but the conditions we were in meant that we had sort of muddy fields. We could sort of mirror the image of the Douglas Ray one really well, which was a huge advantage to us. The field was very isolated, and we could get extra diegetic sounds as we went along, which was great. For my own coursework, again, I'd like to just pay real close attention to where I am filming, get my location research done before even bothering going there, or go there and check it out, make sure it's where I want to film, then return with a game plan, know what I'm doing. I don't want to be just turning up anywhere and, you know, hoping to film there and it'd be great. I've learned from this task especially that we really do need to plan ahead. We did just look on Google Maps this time and sort of we knew that we had an advantage, so we knew we didn't have to do too much location research for this Get Off My Land. But for my one, I don't really want to just be looking on Google. I want to be, you know, really visiting the places and making sure they are what I need them to be, and get as much location research as I can done, as well as ensuring that that location that I choose is relevant to my short film. There's no point in filming somewhere that is nothing to do with the storyline, because it will just make no sense, and it's just not a very well thought out film process. I'd like to sort of really shoot in the right places for my genre, my storyline, everything. Make sure, you know, things like there's light and shade where it needs to be, just little things like that. I just want to make sure that I get that spot on, because that is a real big factor in that whole sort of process, I feel like. And then finally, sound. I think we did come across a very large problem with this Get Off My Land task, just because we filmed in an outdoor field location, which meant that we were sort of struggling with the weather conditions, we were within the wind, and then obviously that projects onto the shots. Unfortunately, that goes, you know, rattles the camera a little bit, and that sound is in the background. But obviously with editing, things like that, we were able to sort of edit that out as much as we can, but we did become sort of quite vulnerable to the weather conditions, and that isn't a fault of our own, that's just some things you've got to battle with sometimes. So we did have to adjust to the settings to ensure that it could be heard, all the speech could be heard clearly by the audience, you know, whether that be coming back at a later date and just making sure that the film is heard as much as possible. Obviously it's hard to completely edit a film that's got wind all in the background. That does sort of require a lot more work, so that is something that we did battle with quite a lot. But for my own coursework, just to make sure that any dialogue that is recorded can be heard well by the audience. That doesn't mean I don't want it to be, if I am outside, I want to basically plan, make sure that where I am maybe is sheltered a bit more. It's just a bit of a pain having to battle with weather conditions, just sort of make sure that the sound and my coursework, I think we've learnt that, you know, we need to get the conditions right before just going out and filming. We need to sort of do a bit more research into weather, but that's just a minor thing, and that is something that we can easily get around. So I think, oh, and lighting is the last one. And then, so for lighting, we, of course, because we shot in a natural location, we did just use the natural sunlight. We didn't really find the need to have box lights or any extra lighting, really. We didn't really need that, and for the time frame we had, it would have just been unnecessary to sort of transport them to where we needed them to be at the time. We were lucky the day was mostly clear and there was suncast sunlight, and that did cast across the act as well. So yeah, again, artificial lighting just wasn't really needed for us at that time, which was an advantage, but obviously if we were filming in a completely different location and there would have needed to be box lights, that is something that we could have done and easily achieved. So for my own coursework, I just like to ensure that the light reflects the mood and the genre and what we're trying to portray in that scene. Obviously there's no point in having a bright sunny day if it's a horror and someone is, you know, sneaking behind their back trying to murder them, sort of thing. We need to sort of that is a big factor, and take that into account, and just make sure that the image is clear for the audience to see. I know sometimes when we caught the light sometimes with the camera shots, and that did blur our vision of the screen, and obviously that just means sort of redoing the clip again and trying to not edit that sun out, because that's a very hard job to do, but just sort of changing a bit of location just so that is not really seen. And I think that is about it.